So let's go ahead and dive into my ethos on business and the 5 things that I look out for before I come into an industry. Now, when you heard me describing my experience and from 2017 to current date, there's a lot of lessons and things that I learned along the way. The big lessons that I took away are really 5 things. Number 1, a business being evergreen. Number 2, a business being easily able to scale. Number 3, generating residual income. Learning how sticky an offer is and actually how to identify that. And then number 5, how easy it is to sell the business. When I talk about selling the business, I don't mean selling the services, I mean selling the actual business itself. So selling the merchant services business, getting a bunch of clients in the door, a couple years down the line, how easy is that to sell? Now, let's go ahead and break each of those down. Now, when I say evergreen, what I mean is, will this business or industry be around for the next 10, 20, 30 years and beyond? Now, in the last video, I said that, yes, this industry will evolve, but it's never going to go away. Even if cryptocurrency, for example, is fully adopted and you've got 50% of payments running through crypto, well, I am going to make sure that I'm on the cutting edge of that, and we have that as an option, for example. But credit cards are never going to go away. Whether the physical card itself ends up being digital, there's always going to be some sort of payment process between the consumer and the business. And the gap in that is merchant services, is payment processing. So no matter what happens to the industry, how it evolves, this connection is never going to go away. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because when I come into an industry, I'm not in it to make very quick money and just get in and get out. I want to build a business that is going to be around for many, many years, because I want to build and scale something that I can step aside, have that business continue to run, have some oversight, but then be able to build up new ventures. Now, when I was talking about how every millionaire has, on average, 7 sources of income, I have multiple sources of income, and when I found this opportunity, I identified it as an opportunity to be another source of income. And since it is evergreen, it's never going to go away, this is a foundational business that I can have going into the future. Now, how easy is it to scale? Well, the reason you want to look at how easy is it to scale is because when you come into a business, you're always going to reach caps on how much you're able to make. Now, the way to make more money is the scalability. But what does that look like? Does it look like hiring more staff? Does it look like spending a bunch of money in advertising? Does it look like acquiring other businesses that are just like it? For example, if you're a dry cleaner, you can only do so much at that location to scale up the business. Maybe you offer delivery services, maybe you have some post locations, but realistically, being in one location, how many people in what radius are people gonna actually associate to your business, right? If you've got a 20-mile radius, your only way to scale is to open up more locations so you have a wider radius being covered. Now, when it comes to businesses that I do, which are primarily online and virtual, how easy and effective is it to scale the business? Now, the biggest lesson that I learned this from was in the life insurance industry. The good thing about life insurance is that based on the commission level, you have scalability if you have margin, because you can always recruit large teams and people into your business. Because if you have a commission of, let's say, 100% and somebody's at a 60%, well, you can offer them a 70% or 75% or even a 90%, and they're dramatically increasing their revenue that they're going to make in their business, and you can still make a margin on that production. So how easy is it to scale in the merchant services business? Well, merchant services is very easy to scale. And the reason for that is it doesn't take a lot of money to actually operate the business. Now, when a merchant actually comes on and they start processing, you have, of course, all the back-end tech and everything, but there's a percentage coming out from each of the payments that automatically pay for that. So it's not coming out of your own pocket. And when it comes to staffing and those things, well, your staff, yes, can run a lot of the processes for doing the onboardings and the back-end documents and even going out there and searching for more business. But you're able to have a very high revenue business because it's building on top of each other. Let's think of a product or a service that is, a one-time deliverable, and you need more people on your team to be able to build out. Advertising, for example. In advertising, if you have a client and you're offering advertising services, then you need a team of, let's say, 4 to 5 people to manage that business. Well, for that bandwidth of that team, you can probably have like 5 or 6 clients that are filling up those 5 people's times. But to scale that business, to go from 5 clients to 50 clients, you have to scale the team. The reason for that is simply bandwidth. Now, in the merchant processing business, you don't need to scale the team in tandem of scaling the business. The reason for that is the delivery is really a one-time upfront deliverable. You're having conversations with the business owner on how you're able to save the money. They provide a statement on how much they're actually paying. You run an analysis, kick it back over to the client, and then they say, yes, we want to do it, or no, we don't want to do it. Now, once they sign up, other than customer service requests coming in and just monitoring the account to make sure that payments are processing as they should be, you don't have a lot of things you're doing on a daily basis to keep that business running. Because, well, once it's set up, people are processing payments at the location, and so long as the machine doesn't go down, you really don't have anything that you need to do. So you can scale very quickly because it's really a one-time upfront deliverable. Sometimes it can take, 1 week to, 3 weeks to be able to close a client and get them in. But so long as you can, put those processes in place, which I have, it's very scalable because you can have a few people on the team and run, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in processing through your company without having a massive team. So let's talk about the actual income from business. Now, when you're selling products online, let's say you have an e-commerce store, your only revenue is coming in when somebody buys your product, and that's a one-time purchase. Sure, you may have a customer who comes in and buys on a subscription model, but that's still kind of one time. You're not having a client come in and say, I know this person is going to be buying from me for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Now, the reason I look for residual income now is because, like I said before, for the evergreen businesses, I want to build up businesses that have that residual cash flow income coming in. And this business does that. You get a client set up for the payment processing, you get them an incredible rate that they can't get anywhere else, or you reduce it to zero. You always have the best technology, the best support, then that client is not going to go anywhere. Now, how sticky is the offer? When I talk about how sticky is the offer, this is when we're presenting the opportunity and the ability for the client to jump in, how sticky is the actual offer? Now, if you're selling e-commerce, and you're selling a widget on Amazon, for example, or your Shopify store, there's a very good chance a lot of other people are also selling that. So it's really just who has the best, most flashy brand or who has the lowest price. When it comes to like the advertising business or buying and selling leads, the big thing there is going to be consistent quality, and then especially in the life insurance business, what I found out is that people are always looking and they're always buying leads from different vendors. So as soon as somebody starts to get minimally better results somewhere else, they're always going to switch over, which we had the biggest benefit of because people were seeing the best results with us and they were switching over to our leads. Now, when it comes to just some of the top-down topics, we're looking at for how sticky is the offer. When a business is looking to buy something new, is it required? Like, is this operationally important for the business to run? Now, the second thing, how likely is that business to change and move to a competitor? How easy is it to actually sell the products or sell the service? How easy is it to onboard? Does it save or cost the business money? And then what's that lifetime value of the customer? Now, all of these factors I consider to be how sticky is the offer. So when I look at industries that I want to jump into and grow in, these are the things that I'm looking at. Now, let's go one by one. Is payment processing required for a business to operate? The answer is yes. How likely is a business to change once they jump on? Well, I come across merchants all day long who have massively high fees, and even when I think back to before I was in this business, there was, like years at a time where I was just paying high fees and I was just so focused on other things in the business that I just kind of chalked it up to just cost of doing business. When in reality, you shouldn't have this massive cost draining you because there are better options out there. So even taking myself as a case study of, the likelihood to change, I was unlikely to change because I never really saw it as a priority. I also never saw it as something that was very easy to. I didn't really understand the process. So when we come to business owners and we have the relationship with somebody where we can say, hey, let me kind of open your eyes to this part of your business that's just a total drain for your cash flow, and let me give you a solution to solve it. When we have a dramatic shift in putting thousands of dollars back into our clients' pockets, the likelihood of them changing is virtually zero. Now, that also kind of ties into how easy is it to sell. Now, this is one of those light bulb moments. So once that business owner has that light bulb moment, they're very inclined to switch over because it's just putting money back into their pocket, and they can build that picture of what can they do with that money once it comes in, and we even have solutions on what they can do with that. Now, how easy is it to onboard the client? Well, onboarding a client to merchant services is very, very straightforward. I'm going to cover this in much more depth in another video, but the process goes basically like this. A client comes, you approach a business owner, and we get a merchant statement from them. On that statement, it breaks down how many fees they're paying to Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and Discover. And we're also seeing the terminal costs, and we're seeing all the other expenses that are included in their merchant processing. Now, we do an analysis side by side of what they're doing now versus what we can offer them. That goes back to the client. The client says, yes, this is amazing. I'm going to save $3,286 a month, which is over $37,000 a year, which is over $100,000 in the next 3 years. That's going to do so much for my business when I can keep that money in house. Now, at that point, they would fill out an onboarding form with us. We get them set up on an online account after underwriting approves them, and then new equipment gets sent out to their location if they're in person. If they're online, then we simply get activated. Very straightforward to onboard, and it's very easy. It doesn't take a lot of time, maybe a couple of days, or if a client's tracking their feed, they're very busy, it can take a bit longer, but that doesn't change the fact that it is easy to actually onboard into the business. Now, does it save a business money, or does it cost a business money? In advertising, it costs money to advertise, it costs money to hire the team, and this always surprised me, running the business. But whenever a client goes through hard times in the business, or maybe they have a downturn in sales due to factors out of our control, like maybe whatever it may be, sometimes advertising is the first thing to go, because they're like, well, this is costing a lot of money, and we're seeing potentially diminishing returns, or there's problems in the economy, so we're going to slow down. But when in reality, the thing bringing you in money should be the thing you keep. In this case, it doesn't cost the business owner anything to join. There is no startup costs. There is no subscription cost. They're not paying us a consulting fee of $5,000 to come into the business and sort out processes. No, it's a very simple equation. A business owner comes to us and they're processing $200,000 a month in business, and they're paying $8,000 a month in fees. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to lower those fees down to zero in some cases. Maybe we cut those fees nearly in half, right? Save them, 20, 30, 40, 50%. That's saving the business owner money. And literally the moment they switch and they start processing payments, they have that much more money in their account every single day. So yes, it saves the business money. And what's the lifetime value? Well, lifetime value of a customer is extremely important, because when you're looking at efforts like advertising and you're projecting out your future revenue, you're always looking at, if it costs me $100 to acquire a customer for my e-commerce store, and they're going to spend $300, well, I made a profit before other expenses of $200. Out of that $200, you're going to have other operational costs for your business, like the team, for example, that's running it, so maybe that's another $20. You're going to have the actual product cost. So your lifetime value, if that person never comes back, is going to be that amount. Now, in this business, since it is a monthly recurring income coming in every single month, the lifetime value of that customer is dramatically higher because a business is going to come in, you're going to save the money on their fees, and you're going to make a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 a month. Now, as long as that person stays in business and they don't go out of business, then that money is going to come in every single month. So irregardless of how much it costs you to acquire a customer or the time associated with acquiring that customer, you're going to have that money coming in basically guaranteed every single month for as long as that person stays in business. Now, that all factors into how sticky is the offer. But now let's look at how easy is it to sell the business and at what multiple. Now, here's what's really interesting. When you're looking at selling your business, let's say this business is doing $500 million a year in annual processing. And let's just say, we're making 50 basis points on that, right? So on average, 50 basis points is staying in the business. So we're making $2.5 million per year on in actual revenue coming in. Now on $2.5 million, how much is it actually costing you to run that business? Well, let's say you're running 10% on actual expenses. So 2.5 million, subtract the 250K, you're looking at 2,250,000. Well, for somebody to come in and buy that business, they're buying 100% cash flow because there's not high expenses, and the business is running basically on autopilot. Like for example, if you never brought in another client into business, your business is going to make $2.25 million a year. If you continue to grow it, then yes, your business will grow in revenue. But we're looking at just the picture as a whole. So when somebody comes in, you are going to see sometimes a 10, 15, 20 or more multiple on that business selling. So when I was looking at this opportunity, I was saying, wow, like you get a couple $100 million of businesses processing payments with you. Sure, you're making an extremely low margin, but the sale is really where all that money is going to come in. Now, for me, there's a plethora of other services and things that I plan to, promote to those businesses in the meantime. Again, if I come into a business and I'm saving them $10,000 a month, I now know that they have $10,000 in free cash flow, that if I have a way to optimize certain processes within their business or help them grow sales, and it's going to cost them $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, or maybe, let's say, $10,000, then I know they have the budget to do that, right? I'm basically creating the budget for my clients to actually be able to come in and actually do business with me. Now, that's not going to be every single business, that's not going to be every single client, but that's, of course, something that just sits in the back of my mind. Now, I'm much more focused on growing the merchant services side and then looking holistically after a couple months to see, what businesses are coming in. Am I seeing mostly restaurants? Am I seeing mostly, e-commerce businesses? What's the largest demographic of the businesses doing the processing? And then what can I actually offer them from there? But when you're looking at selling the business at the end of the day, it's so attractive for a company or a group to come in and buy a business just based on cash, just cash flow coming in, rather than a business doing $2.5 million a year, but they've got $2 million of expenses and they're only cash flowing $500,000. Well, a business cash flowing $500,000, maybe they'll get a 2, 3, 4, 5 times multiple on that sale because there's a lot more risk involved in that equation. But for this business, whoever buys it can basically shut down shop, not accept any new business, and they're going to be getting that $2.5 million a year in revenue coming in consistently every single year. So it's a very easy business to sell, and that plays in favor for me as a business owner, as well as you for that lifetime residual income. And then at the end of the day, if that account does get bought out, then obviously everybody wins at the end of the day.